So welcome everyone to this solo playthrough of the D&D classic Lost Mine of Phandelver. This is the first time I've played this adventure, and I'm deliberately not reading ahead in the book in the DM role, so that the situations and encounters we will have will be as unexpected as they can be to our adventurers. I hope you enjoy it. Please do let me know in the comments. If you do, remember to subscribe so you can catch the whole series. Long ago, in a forgotten realm far, far away, in the far northwest corner of Faerun, is where we start our story. For centuries, rumours of buried riches in a long-lost mine in the legendary Wave Echo Cave have attracted treasure seekers and opportunists to the area around Phandalin. But no one has ever succeeded in locating the lost mine, until now. The Rockseeker brothers, a trio of hill dwarves, have recently discovered the entrance to Wave Echo Cave, and they intend to reopen the mine. We join our party in the city of Neverwinter, so named because despite being in the far north of Faerun, the waters of the river that run through it never freeze, due to being warmed by the nearby volcano of Mount Hotanau. This is where a group of adventurers are gathering to provide escort for a cart of supplies travelling on the road south from Neverwinter to Phandalin. They have each received a note from Gundren, the eldest of the three Rockseeker brothers, instructing them to meet at the Silver Hearth Inn before setting out to Phandalin the following day. The Silver Hearth Inn is a modest but popular inn and tavern on the south side of the city in the Protector's Enclave, not far from the southwest gate. It is early evening as our adventurers start to gather. Valanthe, a sun elf, an unusual sight in these parts, arrives first, as always. She subscribes to the dictum, "A wizard is never late, a wizard always arrives precisely when they mean to," which in Valanthe's case is unnecessarily early. She looks around the bar, a slight wrinkle of distaste showing on her otherwise fine and smooth features. She walks up to the bar. "Do you have any Jasmarim Shadow?" she asks the bartender. "No, we don't get much cool for that around here, but you can do a glass of Winter Dark, that's pretty similar." "Well, I very much doubt that, but it will have to do. I'll have one small glass." She then shows the note from Gundren to the bartender, and he waves her over to a reserved table in the corner. She goes to sit down and sips her wine as she surveys the room. Next comes Torga, a hill dwarf who arrives exactly 5 minutes early as taught by her military training. She orders a pint of dwarven light ale and joins Valanthe at the table. Before long, they are joined by Vandross, a human who arrives exactly on the time stated in the note. Many menial roles have led him to respect the timing set by others, but he does so only by the skin of his teeth. He orders a pint of the cheapest local ale and sits down at the table. They each introduce themselves and share how they have come to take this job. "Hi, I'm Torga Bronanville. Gundren is my cousin. He offered me this job when he heard that I was looking for a change in career." Torga is Gundren's cousin on her mother's side, twice removed. Until recently, she's been a soldier serving the local guard, but left after disagreeing with the way that things were run. A few weeks earlier at a clan gathering, she shared with Gundren her interest in going south to Phandalin for some important work. Gundren said he had the perfect job to help her get there safely, and gave her a note outlining all the details. Valanthe then leans forward. "Good evening, I am Valanthe Liardon. I have my own personal reasons for travelling south to Phandalin," she says with a mysterious air. "When I heard about this escort, it seemed it would suit my purposes very well, to join and give my support." Valanthe is an acolyte of Ogma. A few months ago, she received a vision from her deity of an important mission for her to undertake, which suggested she should seek guidance in Phandalin. She came to stay in Neverwinter and asked around about travel south to the town. She was pointing in the direction of the Silver Hearth Inn. The innkeeper informed her that an escort due to leave in 2 days' time was in need of more support. He hands her a copy of the note from Gundren. Vandross then speaks. "Hey y'all, I'm Vandross FTs. I live and work in Neverwinter, but I want to get out of the city for a change of scene. This escort job is a mighty fine opportunity for me to travel." Vandross currently works as a porter at the Neverwinter docks. However, he hopes to rise to better things and to reclaim his family's ancestral home, which was lost following the eruption of Mount Hotanau 30 years before. He found a notice pinned to the board in the docks offering an escort job to Phandalin, and thought this would be the perfect start for his quest. He inquired at the Silver Hearth Inn as the notice instructed, and the innkeeper gave him the note from Gundren. "Is that all of us then?" says Torga. At that moment, Merrick, a halfling, arrives about half an hour after the others. His rebellious, independent attitude leads him to push back against deadlines and schedules. He arrives late, even when he could have easily been there sooner. He orders a half pint of Lurin's best stout and joins the others at the table. "Hoi, I'm Merrick Thorngage. So is this it then?"
"We're the escort party heading to Phandalin," says Vandross. "Are you joining us?"
"Yeah, I've got a bit of a gap in my schedule right now, so I thought I'd come along for the ride." Merrick has been living a bit of a low life in Neverwinter, sleeping rough, living off petty thievery. Wary of joining another organised gang after a recent bad experience, he is interested in getting more official paid work. He also saw Gundren's notice on the board at the docks and jumped at it. Getting paid to go to Phandalin, and with the party for protection, what's not to like? He visited the inn earlier that day and spoke to the innkeeper. One slot was still available, so he accepted straight away. He has been skulking about in the streets outside all day, doing a bit of pickpocketing where he could. He has seen all his fellow party members arrive before him.
"So is Gundren not joining us then?"
asks Vandross. "No," says Torga. "Didn't you read the note?" She pulls out her copy of the note and reads. "Hello, adventurer. Thank you for agreeing to take on this quest. I'm very excited about what this could lead to. You are to escort a cart of supplies to Phandalin. It is already packed and will be waiting for you at the back of the Silver Hearth Inn. Meet at the inn at 8 o'clock on the evening of the 12th to join up with your fellow party members. I will travel ahead to Phandalin with Sildar Halwinter to attend to business in the town. Bring the cart to Barthen's Provisions to receive your payment of 10 gold. I look forward to meeting you in Phandalin. Yours, Gundren Rockseeker."
"Well, now that's established," says Valanthe, "I am going to bed."
"Okay," says Torga. "See you in the morning." Very soon, the rest of them turn in for the night. The party meets in the bar the next morning, all except for Merrick, who is headed out for a bit of early morning pickpocketing in the market. After a bite to eat, they all head round to the back of the inn where the horse and cart are waiting. Torga goes over to stroke the horse. However, it's not very receptive. It gives a sharp snort and turns its head away. At that moment, Merrick pops his head up from the back of the wagon.
"Where did you appear from?"
asks Vandross. "Oh, I'm just checking all the supplies are safely stored," replies Merrick. Torga peers into the cart. "From the looks of it, Cousin Gundren is setting up a new mining encampment."
"Who's going to drive the wagon? Shall I do it?"
asks Vandross. "I will," says Merrick.
"You?"
says Valanthe dismissively.
"Surely your arms are not long enough."
"Sure they are," replies Merrick. "I've driven a cart plenty of times." He jumps forward into the driver's seat and grabs the reins to demonstrate. So it seems that Merrick is driving the cart. The rest of the party pile their packs on the back in the small amount of space left amongst all the mining equipment and food supplies. Merrick flicks the reins and the horse's hooves clop on the cobbled street. The cart rolls forward and the others walk alongside. Soon they are approaching the formidable South Guard's gate. As they pass under the large stone structure, the guards give them a cursory nod. They're not interested in those leaving the city, only those entering. Soon the party are out on the high road, heading south towards Phandalin. The landscape here is open and rugged. The road winds south, not far from the coast, and they get regular glimpses of the Sea of Swords, a steely blue colour under a sky of sunshine and clouds. To their left are the dense trees of the Neverwinter Woods, a combination of old oaks and fir trees. Beyond this rise the Sword Mountains, with the jagged edges of the Icespire Peak visible on the horizon. After 2 days of uneventful travel, they come to a junction with a track heading east up into the mountains. Torga looks at the hastily sketched map of their journey.
"This must be the Trebor Trail."
"Is this the road to Phandalin?" says Valanthe.
"I expected more than just a track."
Merrick pulls on the reins and the horse responds and turns up the track, the cart wheels slotting into the ruts created by previous travellers. The track climbs steadily from here up into the Sword Mountains, and the dense trees of the Neverwinter Woods loom closer. After proceeding on the Trebor Trail for about 4 hours, the cart rounds a bend. At this point on the trail, the woods pressing close around them, and a steep embankment with dense thickets rises on either side. Suddenly, Vandross calls out,
"Hold up, there's something on the track ahead."
Merrick pulls on the reins and the cart rolls to a halt. They all look towards the narrowest point of the trail about 50 feet ahead and see 2 dead horses sprawled on the ground, blocking the path. Even from this distance, they can see several black-feathered arrows sticking out of them. Vandross says,
It looks like there's been an attack. See the arrows in those poor horses.
Oh, how disgusting, says Valanthe. Oh no, you don't think those are Cousin Gundren's horses, says Torga, her voice trailing off. I wonder what price horse meat fetches around here, thinks Merrick to himself. So we make a stealth roll for the perpetrators to check if the party can see anyone still lurking around the trail. We roll an 8, so whoever is there is not successful in their stealth.
Watch out, says Vandross. I can see something moving amongst the bushes. Looks like whoever committed this atrocity is still lurking there.
Everyone in the party can see some movement in the bushes and trees close to the trail, although at this distance it's not quite clear who is there.
I know, says Merrick. I can stealth up and get a better look.
Surely they'll see you, says Valanthe.
No, they won't. You'll see.
Merrick jumps down off the back of the cart and ducks out of sight. He makes a stealth roll of 26.
A bit of recon is a great idea, says Torga. Then come back here so we can plan our next step.
Merrick creeps through the bushes between the embankment on the south side and the trail, whilst the rest of the party wait on the track in full view. As he gets closer, he can see 4 goblins, 2 on each side of the trail. He can also see that the horses must have been dead for about a day, and it's clear that the arrows killed the horses. There's a goblin not far in front of Merrick now, looking the other way towards the track. This is just too tempting. He sneaks through the bushes at the base of the embankment and comes up behind the unsuspecting goblin. Quick as a flash, he strikes the goblin with his short sword. His attack is successful and gains extra damage for the sneak attack. The goblin dies instantly with a strangled cry and collapses onto the edge of the path. Now all the goblins are alerted to Merrick's presence and rush to attack. So we roll for initiative. The goblins take the initiative with a roll of 19. From across the other side of the track, a wild-looking goblin jumps out of a bush and rushes towards Merrick, brandishing its scimitar. However, before it reaches Merrick, it trips on a tree root and stumbles, so completely fails in its attack. A second goblin then appears further along the track and shoots a black feather-tipped arrow at Merrick. However, its aim is off and the arrow glances off Merrick's leather armour. It then attempts to hide but fails and is still visible on the path. A third goblin then shows itself on the embankment on the north side of the track. It tries to aim at Merrick, however its fellow goblin is blocking the view, so it turns and shoots at the next nearest party member, which is Vandross. The arrow whistles through the air and hits Vandross in the shoulder. The goblin then steps back into the bushes and hides itself, so it is no longer visible to the party.
Merrick,
cries Torga.
What happened to the plan?
Then Valanthe steps up. She moves forward calmly to a point where she can target the 2 goblins on the path. With a flick of her wrist and a whispered incantation, she casts Magic Missile. 3 shimmering purple stars appear in the air before her. They shoot forward in quick succession. The first burst of arcane energy hits the nearer goblin on the path, wounding it badly. The other 2 stars streak towards the further goblin, and it is killed instantly in a bright purple explosion. Then Merrick attacks again. He stabs his short sword at the goblin in front of him, piercing it in the chest, and this is enough to finish it off. It collapses with a gasp onto the track next to its fellow goblin. Vandross then rushes past Valanthe over to the embankment on the north side, from where the third goblin shot the arrow at him. He peers into the trees, trying to spot the goblin stealth there. He rolls an 11 for perception, so he's unable to see it in the darkness of the forest. Torga then dashes forward to where the horses are lying on the track. She is desperate to discover what has happened to her cousin Gundren. Meanwhile, the final goblin, seeing its fellow tribe members fall so easily to the adventurers, slips away northwest into the darkness of the forest and disappears. Torga kneels beside what she can see is her cousin's horse. She frantically searches around the area for clues as to what may have happened to Gundren and Sildar. She rolls a 14 for perception. She checks inside the saddlebags of each of the horses and sees that they have both been emptied out. Also, she finds Gundren's old leather map case lying empty, discarded on the ground. "No!" she cries. "How can this have happened?" Merrick relieves one of the goblins of its scimitar. "That'll do nicely," he says. Then he walks over to where Torga is kneeling by the horse. Overcome by emotion, Torga turns and lashes out at Merrick. "How could you be so stupid? You were supposed to come back so we could plan the attack." "All right, keep your hair on," replies Merrick. "My plan worked, didn't it?" "You just got lucky. I have military training. You need to listen to me in this kind of situation." "You didn't tell us that, did you?" says Merrick. "Well, I'm telling you now," says Torga. "Besides, you're not in the army now," retorts Merrick. This argument is interrupted by a shout from Vandross.
"Hey, y'all, come look over here. I found something."
Vandross is over by the northern embankment, close to where the final goblin disappeared. Merrick and Torga glare at each other as they go over to where Vandross is inspecting the ground, just below the embankment.
Look, there are signs of disturbance on the ground here.
Vandross rolls a 19 for survival. He inspects the churned up grass and dirt on the ground here. He can see many sets of footprints and signs of something large being dragged away.
Look, many goblins came this way, and they dragged something large like 2 sacks up here.
He pushes back the overhanging bushes, and they all see a narrow track leading up the embankment and heading to the northwest.
Could that be a dwarf-sized sack? Asks Torga. Yes, I reckon it could be,
replies Vandross.
Quickly, everyone, we must follow them,
cries Torga.
Now, wait a minute,
says Valanthe, who has been silently observing all the commotion. The agreement is for us to deliver this cart to Phandalin, not to go chasing off into the wild after a bunch of goblins.
Yeah, I agree,
says Merrick. This isn't our concern. We need to get that cart to Phandalin. But if there's any chance of saving Cousin Gundren, we must act now, cries Torga. What do ye say, Vandross? She asks.
Well, I figure it was Gundren who hired us to help him. Seems like he really needs our help now, so I agree with Torga.
The two of them look at Valanthe and Merrick, who stare defiantly back. And there we will leave our adventurers for now. Will they follow Torga to chase after the goblins in a bid to rescue Gundren and Sildar? Or will they continue on to Phandalin to deliver the cart as instructed? Might they even consider splitting up? Tune in next time to discover where this story goes.